such a degree that eventually we'd hear about a cable TV. Of course, free TV news swore we'd ignore it, and the average family could never afford it. But again, they were wrong. Eventually, everybody wanted their MTV. We were all tuned in, but now the shock was watching a kid do a thing called the moonwalk. Sliding backwards, really. It was eventually too far. Reality killed that video star. Got the talking blues. So simple at first, it was hard to foresee the impending collision with reality, but it soon seemed TV turned on itself when the real world came on like it was something else. Of course, actors all acted like they weren't floored, hoping eventually that we'd all get bored. But one after the other, we pretended not to act as we hurtled ever forward toward alternative facts. Then a show called The Apprentice came on, and pretty soon an old man with a comb over had sold us the moon, and we stayed tuned in. Now here we are, reality killed by a reality star. Got the talking blues. Hills, that is.
All right, folks, there we have it. Heck yeah. The Talking Reality Television Blues by Todd Snyder. That was supposed to be a seamless, effortless flow that ended up not being. Smooth transition. And not so much. But, hey, man, we made it back. I'm back. We're back. We're here. And, yeah, see, I forgot to put the little piece of tape over that one little button I told you about.
Yeah.
Sure as shit, I reached up there and hit it. So, anyway. Oh, man,
it was fun, you know. I'm guessing people were wondering what the hell was going on because the Texan got about, 100 pounds heavier and got a black beard on him, so it was all
and a cool palm leaf hat.
Yeah, exactly.
But, yeah, man, good to be back with you tonight. This is Wednesday night, right? Yeah, Wednesday night, year of our Lord, January 12th, 2022. So, man, good to be hanging out with you again tonight, Montana.
Nice to be back, sir. That was fun, so we figured what the hell do it again, right?
Might as well give it another shot. So, anyway, what we're going to do tonight is going to be a little bit different, folks. We are going to discuss a couple topics with you folks tonight. I hope you hang around and find out a little bit of information. See, I'm from the transportation side, and Montana is from?
Farm and Ranch.
Farm and Ranch. They kind of go hand in hand, you know what I'm talking about when it comes to the chain, the supply chain out there in America. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Things kind of go hand in hand a lot.
Well, it turns out growing wheat doesn't do you any good unless you can get it to market. So, yeah, transportation's kind of important. Did
you say weed?
Wheat.
Oh, wheat. Don't forget the T.
H-E-A-T, wheat.
Not only that, but, man, we're going to talk about not only the agriculture, but also, what was it? Dang, I just drew a blank. I got a headache, y'all. I got a real bad headache. So, but I'll get through it.
We got supply chain. We got, input costs that are coming up. We got issues that are that we're dealing with from holdover from 2021. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on for the average Joe that it's going to affect.
Yeah, plus the packaging side of it.
Mm-hmm.
The meat processors and all that. We're going to try to shed some light on that for you guys about why we're having issues in our supermarkets. I don't know if y'all are having any shortages where you're at. We're starting to see them here down in DFW, but I've been looking around. And New Orleans, they're getting hit pretty hard. Of course, up on the Northeast, they're getting hit pretty hard for a lot of the reasons that Montana and I are going to talk about, but also because of the storms that keep coming through there and shutting the interstates down. You know, that of course has a direct impact, but that's a very short cause. They usually last about a day or two, and then the shelves are full again. But we're having bigger issues than that right now with what's going on. So hopefully we can shed some light on that for you guys.
Yeah, there's. I wish we could blame it all on just an icy road, but
yeah,
it's a slippery slope, but it ain't icy. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it too. I'll tell you what, I got to say hi to the folks out there in Montana. Let's see, Awaken Down Under hopped in. Good to see you. Good to see you, Hoss. Hello, Sly Park 2020. Daily insanity. Can't believe it. Love Montana free. Hey, kind of a cool dude. Duppy, good evening, man. Good evening. Mike from Stockton. Evening. Got it bad. Don't know how long I'll last. Totally understand, man. Totally understand. Yeah, see, they heard weed, too. I know my audience.
I'll get... Yeah, they hear what they want now, don't they?
Yeah, right. That's pretty good. So, all right, Montana, what do you say we go ahead and kick this thing off, man? And maybe I can do this without fucking it up this time.
Just don't kick yourself out of the show and we'll be all right.
I'll try not to.
All right.
Just sit there and smile. I'll be back in a minute if it happens.
All right.
So, anyway, okay, this is that... the video that we were talking about, guys. It's 12 minutes and 20 seconds long, and it's chock full of information. I know the way the guy talks is kind of irritating. He almost talks like an elite, but if you listen to what he's saying, man, it's full of information, and he's gonna talk about the whole thing in 12 minutes. Supply and demand, what's going on, what causes shortages, and transportation, the whole 9 yards. And then, like I said, Montana and I are going to break it down for you a little bit after that. So, heck, let's get on with this. Secret Weapon, thank you so much for the cookie, man. Absolutely do appreciate it. Man, with the way Foxhole is now, I look over there, I don't even recognize it, but we'll get through it. So, all right, guys, here we go. This is why the supply chain crisis will get worse in 2020. And no, we're not trying to bring you down. We're just trying to inform you. So maybe you can prepare better here in the near future, like really quickly. So anyway, here we go.
This is why the supply chain crisis will get worse in 2022. With an impending supply chain crisis on the horizon, high inflation, and a shrinking labor force, the U.S. economy is going to experience a recession. Relying on an international supply chain is a public health and national security threat. Here in America, we have the supply chain situation slowing down the recovery. Many businesses have strong demand, but they can't get their goods or keep steady employees. The pandemic left the U.S. and Europe in a wounded state. So much of the economic infrastructure is crippled, not being able to fully recover. This imbalance could tip us into another recession, one more catastrophic event, and things could fall apart very quickly. The current problem is the increase in fuel and energy costs, and also the crisis of containers from China that's affecting the global supply chain. In the case of vehicle manufacturing, Spain and the whole of Europe are having problems due to the lack of imported electronic chips from China, and some steel industry has temporarily paralyzed its production due to high energy costs.
Okay, Montana, I want to stop right there because of what he's talking about. Of course, it's true, but, they just keep talking about the automobile industry. But also, there's another aspect of it nobody's talked about yet. If they can't make automobiles, how the hell are they going to make new 18-wheelers?
Yeah.
Well,
you can go right down the line. Ag equipment, anything that requires that chip.
That chip and that steel that they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
18-wheelers and farm equipment ain't made out of fucking plastic, at least, well, more than they used to, but you know what I'm talking about, man.
Oh, yeah.
All right, I'm going to get back to it.
Perhaps the government should provide tax incentives for businesses to make everything here in America. This was not really caused by the pandemic, but it was caused by the response to it. It mimicked the Chinese social control model and led to unprecedented disruptions. We should start considering doing a true postmortem review of what went wrong in the policy decision process. One issue is that the trucking companies don't want to fork up some fair pay for the needed drivers. Also, the Suez Canal obstruction. Some 370 container ships were delayed. Certainly that had a global impact. Global supply chains are simply unsustainable in the long run due to the ecological, consumptive overshoot of developed countries, the reliance on non-renewable fuels, and the search for the cheapest labor. If an economic model is a three-legged stool, capital, resources, and labor, why is it that labor is the only sector which is told to stay put? In other words, stay home and don't emigrate, while capital, resources, products, and information can move freely about the globe. Indeed, the Titanic ship that is globalism has struck several icebergs and now is taking on water. This shows how brittle the global supply chain is. There is almost zero resilience. Every element in the system depends on every other element to function within very narrow parameters of time and space. This fragility appears at all scales and in all classes of infrastructure. COVID-19 is only one of several stresses already present and guaranteed to increase.
Thinking about going solar, but not sure.
I forgot about that commercial. Hang on a minute. We had echo. I think I fixed it, though.
If we made what we needed within our own borders, we wouldn't have to worry about the situation in other countries or shipping clogs at ports. Or we could simply point to the theory of supply and demand. Currently, there is more demand than supply, so prices are rising. As supply increases to meet demand, prices will stabilize, and when supply exceeds demand, prices will go down. I don't understand why this is a surprise to any thinking, observant person. Of course, the pandemic interrupted the supply chain. To the people who don't understand this, what do you think caused all the snafus in the supply chain? Americans show a gross ignorance of so many things. So discouraging that so many people living in the richest nation in the history of planet Earth are so incredibly ignorant. It is the free market that is responsible for matching supply with demand. Whenever the free market fails, the first thing they do is look to the government, the taxpayers, to bail them out. We will see how this evolves in the future, because it's clear that if this problem continues, we will have a rise in prices and an increase in inflation that can be very detrimental to the global economy. The trucking industry bled its workers dry, treating them as if they were a disposable commodity.
Amen.
I have no tears for those large trucking firms, and I have no tears either for every manufacturer and retailer that depends upon goods from overseas sources. They wanted dirt cheap products because millions of unemployed Americans or workers laboring for meager wages can't make it in the real world. Wages could not afford American-made goods and services. Oh, there's no shortage of truck drivers. There's a plethora of drivers who are tired of working for peanuts. As for retailers of overseas products, they drop their American domestic suppliers to save a few bucks and put millions of Americans out of work. Now those retailers are crying crocodile tears. Oh, isn't that too bad? During World War II, the United States provided millions of tons of war materials to Great Britain, French Free Forces, Russia, Australia, and China, too. We built thousands of ships, planes, tanks, trucks, locomotives, rail cars, rail and machine tools, electronics, articles of clothing, footwear, as well as food, too. If we were to become involved in a worldwide conflict again, we'd suffer heavy losses because of our dependence upon other nations for critical parts, raw materials, and even medicines and medical supplies. We've forgotten the importance of domestic supply and domestic skilled workers. So the short version is people started demanding equitable pay and working conditions, and so much of our economy relied on underpaid, undervalued, and overworked human labor that it has come to a halt. Maybe universal health care destigmatization of and access to mental health care, paid family leave, modest working hours, and safe and supportive work environments that promote self-care, family life, and meaningful social relationships would go a long way in restoring the American laborer and therefore the economy. Folks talk about the supply chain as if it's a separate entity. It is not. It's a creation of corporate America. In its collective drive to get the lowest costs, maximize margins, and drive incentive competition, they push product manufacturing to China. As part of their cost-benefit analysis, they should have included the increased risk. They didn't. Nothing in their business continuity plans, no money set aside in case of a disruption, just people that now throw their hands up, pass on the increased costs immediately to the consumer, and they blame the supply chain. I hold corporate America and the vaunted way overpaid CEOs responsible. They pocketed the money in the good times. Now they need to eat lower margins and not raise costs during the bad times. And don't forget, way too many people think they are now too good for work. Near me, there are dozens of huge logistic warehouses for Lowe's, Dollar Store, Home Depot, Costco, etc. And the roads are littered with desperate employment signs for all types of positions promising signing bonuses. Where has everybody gone? Fixing this is not as easy as many think. It requires radical restructuring of the economy, which means a radical restructuring of our assumptions and beliefs about how the economy works. And that requires radical rethinking of what we, each of us, expects to get from and contribute to the economy. Where to begin? Perhaps by asking what is the purpose of the economy. The language most commonly used about it implies that the economy is about making money. But the breakdown of the supply chains shows that's a futile idea. If the trucks stop running, my town will starve, no matter how much money we have in our bank accounts. Trucking. An industry that was pushed upon us by big oil. Previously, we shipped goods via private railway. But that wasn't using fuel inefficiently enough. Hey, bright idea. Let's attach a big engine to each separate boxcar. That's the ticket. Rail workers were well paid and well treated, and most didn't have to leave home for days at a time.
Okay, I got to say something about that, Montana, before, because as soon as it's over, we got a lot to talk about. And I disagree with him on that right there about the freight, about the trains. Trucks are quicker in the way that they're more efficient, in that way that they're quicker. Yeah, a train, actually, by what it hauls and everything, the engine is more efficient, but you can't get the goods there as quick. And by the way, I've never seen a train pull up to a Walmart. I've never seen a train pull up to a gas station. I've never seen a train pull up to a dollar store or a drugstore. It's always a truck. A truck's got to get it to the train. The train goes from point A to point B. Then it's offloaded onto trucks. So I disagree with him on that. We can go off into that some other time. But we got like 2 minutes left in this. I just wanted to throw that point in there before we got too far off in the weeds after this. So, all right, if we'll mute up, I'll get her going again.
Now we ship goods across the taxpayer-funded highways, causing deadly accidents, destroying our roadways years sooner, and making passenger driving a scary nightmare. And now, supply chain issues. Too bad we've turned most of our railway infrastructure into greenways. It's the globalist corporate model of supply and demand. We need more local production, more true competition, fewer monopolized industries. Think of supply chains instead of the supply chain. The quest for maximum profits created supply chain problems. The supply chain was created with no redundancy or backup, so that it didn't take very much perturbation to cause it to collapse. It was deprived of regulation, redundancy, and backup because those structures cost money and reduced profits. One silver lining of the pandemic is to show the world that profit maximization at the expense of having safety nets of every kind is bad for some businesses and bad for most people. Look, the ultra-wealthy are the only ones who benefit from profit maximization at the cost of everything else. They benefit whether or not the rest of the world is winning or losing. Note how much the billionaires have raked in since the pandemic began. Why, it almost equals how much was spent by the taxpayers on shoring up the economy. The ultra-wealthy bought the politicians to set up the system so it works for them all of the time. Meanwhile, the rest of us are buffeted about during economic cycles and kept stagnant over the long run. Hey, time to bring back the 90% tax bracket and fix a lot of other problems the plutocracy has created for civilization. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the Atlantis Report.
All right. So, what you think about that, Montana?
There's parts I agree with and parts I don't. A lot of the parts I agree. I mean, the supply chain has definitely been an issue. It's been a boiling pot for years. We've just been able to limp it along. When grocery stores went down to a 3-day, basically a 3-day stock, because they know a truck can get to them in 3 days.
Right.
That's an issue. Same thing in the auto industry. If you go into a parts department, 90% of dealers have very minimal stock on hand because we could get parts within 24 to 48 hours through FedEx and UPS. Not a big deal. So we've been kind of slowly cutting our own throats. I don't know if it was necessarily to always maximize profits, because you have to look at, so for instance, he went into the, we need to pay our workers more, we need to give them more time off, we need to do that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree, there's a lot of folks out there that bust their ass and probably work a little too hard, but from a company standpoint, whenever you do that, you're raising costs. There's a cost of goods that all of that gets figured into. And that means that, I don't know, a CEO isn't necessarily going to sit back and go, you know what, I've made enough money, I'm going to work for zero for the rest of my life, and that way I can feel better about myself. They just pass that cost on to guess who?
Well,
you.
Okay. Well, no, I do disagree with you on the CEO thing. It's like General Motors and all them, when they went bankrupt, I mean, they gave themselves $1 million bonuses and then put everybody else, all the workers out of business and walked off with fat pockets, fat wallets. So, but
trust me, I was there in 2008.
Yeah, so
I got to go through the auto restructuring.
And as far as the 3-day chain or the 3-day supply, that yes and no, because that's why like Walmart actually streamlined that shit with their model by building the huge distribution centers.
Their warehousing.
Within a day of damn near every store. So within 24 hours, they can restock a whole store, or almost restock a whole store with like 2 or 3 truckloads. Of groceries and perishables.
But that's what I'm saying is we've already, I don't know, we were playing with fire and we just happened to get burned.
Well, like he was saying, I think and he's right. The big deal is that we moved all of our manufacturing over to China, just like Trump said. And it's just like what we're going to talk about here in a little bit on the farming side of it. The meat production, the processing plants and everything, they're owned by China. And we get a lot of our meat comes from freaking China, you know, and then it is
Yeah,
processed
ours
here
goes
in the
to
United States.
them and theirs goes to us. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, but we take in more than they take from us,
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
you know. So yeah, there's a lot of damn issues there. But anyway, that was your basic breakdown of supply and demand. And I will say this: the man was right. You know, no offense to the audience out there, but you know there are a lot of people in America that are ignorant to the fact about how supply and demand works. And it's like, you know, oil. Everybody says, "Oh, oil." So you know, evil companies and all this stuff. Well, yeah, they've got their damn issues, but I tell you what, the world runs on energy, and so does the food chain. The food supply runs on energy, and those trucks run on energy. Your cars run on energy. Your house runs on energy. So yeah, that is a vital, you know, a pipeline to the United States and to the world.
Yeah, and it's not even just the energy aspect. I mean, you look at what petroleum has done for the U.S. There's a lot of chemicals. There's a lot of textile goods. All that kind of stuff is petroleum based.
Your computer you're working with right now, all these computers,
yeah,
you know,
all your plastics, most of your tires that your freaking car is riding on, they're a plastic base. They're not a rubber base anymore.
It's dude. Now I hauled for Goodyear for almost 10 years, or the company I work for had a contract with Goodyear, and the synthetic rubber that we picked up on the coast of Texas, and they had two plants down there, one in Houston, one in Beaumont, and that's petroleum-based rubber, but it's, you know, it's refined into a certain chemical, and it's turned into you know, man-made rubber. It doesn't come from the rubber tree no more.
Yeah, I mean, there's so when you're buying your tires and you're cussing that they're, you know, $400 or $500 a piece. Just imagine if they were still coming from a rubber tree.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you'd be looking at $2,000-$3,000 a piece per tire. But
if we wouldn't have what we have today, like computers, cell phones, even your toaster with the plastic covering over it, your refrigerators, your TVs, you know what? I'd say 65% of your vehicle, I mean, the inside of your vehicle, just the interior itself, from the radio to the dash to the inside doors and all that stuff, that's all synthetic materials made from petroleum. So yeah, I mean it's mass and paints.
Paints, for certain farm chemicals, you know, as far as pesticides, insecticides, certain fertilizers, it all comes from that, you know, that market.
And we wouldn't have my favorite petroleum Vaseline. Just saying.
Nickname Slick Willie. Anyway.
I kind of took that from Duppy's lead there. Lefties won't notice until the dildo shortage hits. So I blame it on Duppy.
Oh my!
Yeah, Duppy knows a little bit about that oil stuff, but yeah, we're talking about, you know, transportation and energy mainly, and our food chain. Like I said, we can go off on so damn many different directions.
Well, and it's all linked as that's the hardest part. But you know, the reason I'm bringing up energy, and actually I got an article for you for input costs on your future food coming up here, and you look at what's increasing in this article. Most of it is petroleum-based products. You know, even Roundup is part petroleum-based. Roundup also went through a gigantic lawsuit that didn't help matters. But, you know, anytime that farmers and ranchers, your input costs start to go up. Okay, here's the hardest part about being a farmer or rancher.
Hang on just a second for it. Video Demon 204, thank you for the shades, man. Appreciate it. Channel hopping, but spreading some love. Thank you so very much. Sorry to interrupt, but I had to get that out there, dude, before I lost it.
That's all right. So the hardest part about being a farmer or rancher is your input costs get to change without your say-so, and what you sell your product out at gets to change without your say-so. You're basically a guy that gets to own a business and has no say in what the hell happens on either end. So either you don't put product on the ground, you know, you don't plant your wheat, you don't do whatever, and you go broke real quick, or you raise up your cattle And yeah, some of the medications that you got to give coming from China aren't showing up, so you got to buy more expensive stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you know? You get to spend more on that cow, but you don't get to sell it for any more. In fact, most times you get to sell it for less than what it was last year. So, so it's really hard, and eventually it's scary because I can see one of two things happening, especially with what's coming down the pike here soon. You're going to see a lot more corporatized farming, where
We've
companies
got way
are in
too
charge.
much of that already. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's guys out here that are signing with Land O'Lakes left or right.
Mm-hmm.
And sure, you get to stay there and manage your farm, but you don't get to run it. You don't get to own it. But when you can't afford the input costs, well, now we got a little bit of a problem. And input costs are through the freaking roof coming up. I mean, 300% price increases. That's ridiculous. I mean, you think about that. That's 3 times what you paid last year.
Right. And the poultry farmers, the chickens and the turkeys and stuff, all your poultry farmers, or majority of them, they have contracts with like Pilgrim's Pride and with Butterball and all that. And that's the only way they can make a buck now. Is they got to have these contracts with them.
And it's contracted out a year ahead of time.
Yeah.
You have no idea what your inputs are going to be.
Exactly. So these farmers, even poultry and all that is tied in, and they bow down to the corporate. They have to make a living.
Yep. Well, even on a large ag scale, I mean, I have a lot of friends that have, I mean, when I'm talking large, 15, 18, 20,000 acre farms. And you'd think with being able to have 140,000 bushels of wheat or 200,000 bushels of wheat, you'd be able to play the markets a little bit, but it doesn't work that way.
Mm-mm.
You get whatever the big man tells you you're going to get.
And
hey, Nat Hendy, good to see you. Thank you for the can, by the way, over on Foxhole. But yeah, it's, I don't know.
Okay, I'll tell you what. Let's stop right there. We're going to go to. We're going to continue with Mike Rowe. Dirty Jobs guy.
Yep.
And he's a big proponent of vocations and farmers and all that. A big supporter of all that. And just like Nat Handy said, like you called out, thank you for the can. And she said, connect with cattle farmers in your area. Support local farms, basically, is what she's saying. Absolutely.
Yep.
Farmers markets and stuff like that. Absolutely. So before we get too far off on everything, I knew this was going to be a good conversation tonight. But this, so many spokes in the wheel, man. I mean, we could talk for 2 days and probably not even take a break. But let me get this one in there for us, dude. And let's talk about the labor side for a minute. Labor, transportation, manufacturing, energy. That's where all this lies, man. Here we go.
A record 4.5 million people either quit or changed jobs in November. Let's bring in Mike Rowe. He's the dirty jobs guy. Mike, bear with me, please, but I think this might be good news. People are quitting to climb the food chain looking for better wages. Where am I going wrong?
Well, you've always been a glass half full kind of guy, Stuart. I suppose that's one way to look at it, and I think it's probably a fair way to look at it. From my position as a guy who runs a foundation that's focused on debunking stigmas and stereotypes around the skilled trades, I've never seen anything like this. Not a week goes by where my foundation doesn't get a phone call from some association in charge of some industry that's struggling mightily to recruit. Just this month, I've heard from the energy industry, the flooring industry. I mean, you just go down the list one after the next. The restaurant industry, the cable and broadband industry, they are all struggling with the same basic problem, and that is how to make a more persuasive case for the opportunities that exist within their industries. And they're all talking to the same group of people who, for whatever reason, have, I think, changed their fundamental relationship with the definition of a good job. So, look, this is not just a conversation between a mismatch of skills, although I think the skills gap is a very real thing. This is a conversation about our workforce and the imbalanced nature of it, and the way that that's going to impact every single American who shares my addiction to smooth roads, indoor plumbing, affordable electricity, and so forth.
So tell me, what is the new definition of a good job?
That, interestingly, is one of the few things that we can control. And it is within our individual control to make that very decision. Guidance counselors have to decide, teachers have to decide, parents have to decide. The thing we identify as aspirational will set the stage for virtually everything that follows it. Look, that was the whole point of Dirty Jobs. It was to show the country what very specific vocations look like, and then surprise people with the realities of what you can make on a jelly ball fishing boat, for instance, or putting down an epoxy floor, for instance. And it's also a chance for me, Stuart, to remind people that for every 5 tradespeople that are retiring right now, 2 are replacing them. This is a terrible bit of arithmetic that we have to grapple with. It's just bad math, and it's happening right in front of us.
We have to change the status that we apply to blue-collar jobs. A dirty
I
job,
think so.
A blue-collar job, it should be regarded as a good job if you do it well, your heart's in it, it's a vocation. We'd have to change the status. We should stop looking down on people who work with their hands. Last word to you.
I couldn't agree more, but we can't do that unless we do the same thing with the definition of a good education. It can't be higher education and everything else is some vocational consolation prize. We need to set the table fairly. We need to explain to kids that working with your hands, learning a skill that's in demand, can still lead to prosperity. My foundation does this every single year. We give away $1 million to kids who want to learn a skill that's in demand, and then we tell their stories.
Yeah.
We need to do a better job globally of shining a light on those stories, and your program has done a terrific job of that. So you have my thanks in the coming new year.
Thank you.
And my solemn pledge to you to come back whenever you invite me.
Mike Rowe, the best voice in television, the best singing voice in television, and I know that for a fact.
Very kind.
We watch you every Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, How America Works, only on Fox Business. Mr. Rowe.
Okay, so now that's just a small look of the labor market and what's going on with labor, and how it's been shit on really and looked down upon, and why the hell would people want to go into the labor market whenever the ideal is to get a college education and come out and become a CEO and shit like that, and the wages for the common laborers went to hell. It's just, man, we like that first video. We got bigger problems than just a few. I want to say, La Regina. Hey, Texan, just wanted to stop by and say hello. Well, hello back to you. And by the way, Montana, do you have any links or anything you would like to drop in the chats? Because my mod, SciPark 2020, will grab it and spread it for you, man. You got an email? You got
you can
links?
email me at montanafree406 at protonmail.com. You can catch me over on, actually tonight, oddly enough, we're simulcasting. This is a first for the Texan. He's over on D Live right now, YouTube, Twitch, good Lord, Trovo. Let's see, where in the heck else? Just about it. Well, Facebook for a little while until we get kicked off. But you can catch me over there any place. Basically, you just want to look for Montana Free, and you'll find me.
And that's it, man. I'm getting into the big times, doing simulcast for the first time. I can't believe this shit.
Yeah, and actually, if I could, let's say hello to the folks over on D Live. We got about, looks like we got about 10 folks watching us over there. So, Smokey Randy, good to see you. One Easy Money, nice to see you. Amethyst Cat, she's actually hosting us currently over there.
Cool.
Mech Druid, nice to see you. And so far, that's all we got chatting. But yeah. Yeah, no, that's pretty damn scary when you think about it. That for every 5 hardworking individuals out there that are retiring, there's only 2 coming up the pipe.
Right.
And then we're all going to sit here and bitch about automation here soon. Well, I can't believe they put a robot in to do my job. Well, that's because nobody else wanted to do your job.
Look at McDonald's.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, now you walk in, you don't talk to anybody. You walk up to that stupid little podium thing and swipe your card. And you might have one person working back there that throws you a bag and tells you to get the hell out of there.
Right. and then they've even started working with new models in stores, testing them out, man. Like, the actual fucking robots making the food.
Mm-hmm.
One person's going to be able to run the whole damn store.
Yep.
Eventually.
Yeah, and he's sitting at a desk just doing, staring at a screen and doing this shit. That's all he's doing the whole day.
And wait till they get a robot that'll mop the floors and sweep the floors. Then, hey.
They already got one. I just saw it in Sam's Club 2 nights ago.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Over there. And here comes this goddamn well, we always called them, what the hell were they? Like the power mops, the big freaking ride-on power mops.
Yeah, it looks like a big box on wheels.
Yeah. Here comes this son of a bitch up behind me, and I'm going, what the hell is it? It's driving itself. And I look, it stops, slows down, waits for us to go by, turns the corner, takes off. I'm like, Jesus Christ, we can't even pay a janitor anymore. This is getting ridiculous.
Yeah.
But according to Mike Rowe, it might not be a matter of we can't pay them. It's we can't find them.
That's true. I mean, I've seen some stuff about robots that can lay bricks, 5 times or 10 times faster than any man can now?
Yep.
Build a brick wall, man, super, super fast, faster than the top-notch guy. So I know it's getting sketchy out there, man. It really is.
Oh, yeah.
But
like those, have you seen those concrete walls that are basically 3D printed?
Mm-hmm.
It's a robot printing out, liquid concrete, just stacking it.
Yeah, I know exactly. Yeah, I've seen that. But still, I mean, at this moment, though, right now, what's going on, labor has been hit really, really hard. Call it the fucking COVID-19 bullshit. Okay, that's an effect on it. Weather's an effect on it, but there's a bigger effect on it, too. And it's, look, manufacturing has been broken down, tore apart here in the United States and shipped to fucking China and to Mexico. And that's one reason why Trump, when he called that shit out, that's one reason why he was elected. And he was bringing that, he was bringing that market back. He was bringing jobs back to America. They said would never come back. Fucking Barack Obama even said, what's he going to do, wave a magic wand? Well, he got the magic wand, evidently, because he was making it happen.
Uh-huh.
And now we turn around and see what happened. It's by grand design that they're doing this, and we know it.
Yeah, it turns out if you can make it more cost-effective to make your product in the U.S. than you can overseas, companies will come back. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Everything runs on the almighty dollar when you're talking corporation.
Right, and the dollar ain't worth shit because there's nothing backing it anymore. But that's another thing we can get into.
I was going to say, you want to dive down a shit ton. What do we got, like a 6-7 hour show tonight?
I'm telling you, we could do it, man. We could do it. So I'm trying to focus right here on what's going on in our local grocery stores today and why.
Well, and it's even affecting, again, the farm and ranch industry. You used to be able to throw a stick and find somebody that wanted to work on a farm or ranch.
Mm-hmm.
And you got guys out there now that, their kids didn't want to stick around, so they moved off the farm. You can't find a ranch hand or a farm hand out there to help you, so what do? I mean...
Well, the kids don't want sticks thrown at them anymore.
Well...
You could throw a stick and hit...
Then they ought to bring you the right goddamn size wrench when you ask for it.
Yeah, true. Right. True. So, all right, what do you want to go with this here now? I got another video to play that's talking about the food shortages. But anyway, what is this? Say it.
Oh, glycophosphates. It's the so basically it's the generic name for Roundup.
Yeah, glyphosate. Innocent or guilty? Yeah. That's the video you want, right?
No, you should have got a
agricultural news and insights.
There you go. Ag Web. But that's the one that talks about our input costs that are going through the roof. And you guys got to keep in mind, we're dealing with food shortages right now. Well, them food shortages are the production year of last year. So this isn't going to end just from this year or just from last year getting over. We're looking at another round of this shit.
Okay.
And that's if all the stars align and everything works good this year.
Okay, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to share my screen. You tell me if this is the right thing we're looking at here. Because if it is, I get to play Doug.
You get to play Doug?
Yeah.
What the heck?
I don't know. That's what came up.
That's the article I think. You know? What in the hell?
I don't know. Hang on. I'm going to kill
that.
that.
I clicked the link and it went to glyphosate prices soar as much as 300%.
Well, it's part of the problem sometimes when you're trying to.
Well, I can talk about the article. We don't have to bring it up.
Go ahead. This is all you, brother. Have at it.
So basically, what I'm looking at is you have two different kinds of shortages. One, you have shortages of product that just can't get to the shelf. You're looking at something a little different in this article. Now you're looking at product that's not being put in the ground or not being produced because we can't afford to. When you're talking a 300% increase in input costs. Now, input costs, for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, basically, Farmer Joe has to walk into a bank every year and take an operating note out because he doesn't have the $7 million that it takes to put all this stuff in the ground every year. He goes and borrows that money and then pays it back at the end of the year when harvest comes in. Now he gets to walk into that banker, and if he asked for $7 million last year, let's say he's got even a 100% increase in input cost, he gets to ask him for $14 million this year. And that's not an outlandish, blown-over number that I'm telling you here. That's an average farmer. That's what they're going to spend. So now you're looking at, diesel, chemical, seed, because you have seed treat, all that kind of stuff that goes into it. That's, by the way, that's petroleum based. You have all of these costs going up. Well, the bank's not going to loan them twice as much money as they asked for last year. So now you have to make the decision. What are you going to do? Are you going to diversify, plant some different stuff in there, maybe go to hay, maybe go to, something along that lines? Or are you just going to plant that fewer acres? If that's the call they make, that's less product that's going to hit your shelves in 2023. So start stretching this out over time. This is a huge problem that's going to persist. You're going to be looking at food shortages, not just on supply and demand issues, but production issues. Mm-hmm. And last year, we had hellacious droughts over here. I mean, we didn't see rain after probably about June 10th till sometime in October. So we've already got a shortage of wheat production, pea production. Garbanzo beans are growing over here. Barley's growing over here. None of that happened this year. Guys were cutting 5-7 bushel wheat. That's not normal. That's way less that's going to be coming into the market. Now, you wouldn't think peas are a big deal or corn. You don't eat field corn or anything like that. Yeah, that's true. Very little of that is used in food production for human. But guess what it is used for? There you go. Cattle. So you already have cattle prices that are sitting in the cooler at your butcher at $25, $27 a pound for a good ribeye. Now the cattle ranchers got to spend more money to fatten them cattle up. Well, guess what happens? Mm-hmm. He's got to get more money for that cattle. So now you're looking at a $35 ribeye instead of a $24 ribeye that you already can't afford.
And wait, it's not only just beef; it's also pork and it's also chicken. This goes into also into their feed, and plus, your household pets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was going to say dog food. Field peas. That's a big buyer of field peas is dog food. So it's going to affect you everywhere you look. You're just not going to know why. And what we're trying to do tonight is kind of explain to you why and try to help you out. But so what's you said you had another video coming up?
Yeah. Okay. Actually, now, okay, we're actually talking about the direct, what's happening with the food and stuff. We already know that there's issues in transportation. We know there's issues with labor, and I'll tell you what. Let's talk about this real quick. I wanted to get a video on this, but I didn't have time. About the meat packing plants, the big three.
Mm-hmm.
There's an issue there with the prices going up, and while there's shortages there also. See, this is a multi-pronged attack is what it is. This didn't have to happen. This is government-created BS is what this is.
Yep.
And we're going to pay the price for it.
Yeah, well, and you have, 3 major packers right now?
Mm-hmm. That do what, 85, 90%?
85. I think it's 85% of the beef. So, I guess we should explain that too. So, rancher heads to the sale barn, sells his cattle for beef cattle. Now, and these packing plants have buyers.
Hang on a second. That's right. After they're doing good to break even when they're selling their cattle after working their ass off. The profit is so minimal.
Yeah.
It's running them the hell out of business. So understand that. Now we go from that to what you're talking about right now, Montana. Okay, so the farmer don't work his ass off and put everything he had into it. It's basically how many times they go to market in a year?
For beef cattle, you're looking at probably at the most once,
right?
Because that's your 8 to 10-month-old steers is what's going through at the ring. So
thank you.
When I say the ring, that's the auction house, right?
And that's what
you got one. You got one shot to make it, that's to break even.
Yeah, to even break even. Yeah, and I was reading up on a Texas Cattlemen's Association down here in Texas. Texas is a major producer of beef. And but that was like a year ago. So, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there we go. Yeah, so, folks, remember that. After all your hard work, everything you put into this, financially, physically, dedicated, everything you got to it, what would you say you're making on the dollar?
I can tell you, last sale that we sold beef cattle at, you were looking at probably 2 1/4. 2 1/4 a pound.
2 1/4 a pound.
And you're paying how much in the grocery store? But that's what we're about to talk about.
Exactly. That's why I stopped you right there, because this is like one Scott just said, meat packers are making a killing now. Yeah, because they're not paying shit to the suppliers, and they're jacking up the fucking price on the other end and pushing it out. So anyway, carry on, sir.
Oh, yeah. Well, and you have a ton of people with their little fingers in the pie, too, because – so you head your cattle to the ring, you put them in, you ain't got any control at that point. They go in that ring and you have buyers for the meat packing plants, right? These guys walk up and they look at the cattle that are walking around in this ring in a freaking circle and they start bidding. Well, your life is in their hands at that point. What they want to bid is what you're going to make. And the fun part is they work for the packing plant, but not necessarily with them. So they take their little cut and they put that in their pocket. So now that's some money that's already coming direct to the consumer that you get to pay for. So those cattle get loaded on a truck. Now that poor truck driver, don't get me wrong, bull haulers are fucking nuts. They bust their ass off, and they got to be a little bit crazy to do what they're doing because they don't make a lot of money doing it. So they load everything up, head this thing to a meat packing plant. They sit there for at the most a day or two because feeding them ain't making them money, and they're aware of that. Makes you feel good as a rancher. So they head these things in. They butcher them out into what's considered box beef or primal cuts. That's what ends up at the grocery store. Now, somehow between the time that it leaves the ring for $3 a pound to the time that it hits the grocery store, you're probably looking at about $20 a pound average. Now, you tell me in that line who's making the money. It's going to be that speculator or that buyer in the packing plant. Everybody in between is getting pissed on, whether it be the truck driver or whether it be the rancher or whether it be the consumer. There's no shortage in beef. I mean, they're just not. There's a shortage in them wanting to put enough beef on the shelves.
But they're, well, wait a minute. No, they are, how do I say this? Facilitating a shortage in beef right now.
It's a fictitious shortage.
Yeah, like I said, this is government made is what it is, and it's corporate made. And I'm going to show you something. We're doing good down here in Texas right now. We're doing pretty good. But Westicle, okay, here's what I'm going to do. Because I know Westicle's got to get to bed. He owns a business. He's a very busy man. Gets up very early in the morning. He's in a different time zone. Okay, I'm going to play this. The question was, is this shortage a worldwide issue or just a U.S. issue? Are other countries seeing the same issues we are? Actually, other countries are getting hit way harder than we are right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to prove it to you right here. This video is from Australia just the other day. And the videos I'm going to play for you here after this, I went to the grocery store today, my local grocery, my local Kroger, and I walked around and I filmed some stuff I want to show you. I even caught some prices on beef and chicken and all that. But here's the answer to, is this just a U.S. problem or is this a worldwide problem? Here's your answer. This is Australia. This is today, the 12th. Okay. All right. So that's Australia. Yes, this is a worldwide issue. And hang on a second. Lotus, good to see you out there. Glad you're in here tonight. One Scott, you also. Westicle. Okay, here we go. Glad I got friends raising cattle and pigs for my personal use. Yeah, man, that's smart. Damn good thing you do too. I might have to make a trip to Georgia, but no, we're doing okay. We're actually doing okay down here in Texas, and Awaken Down Under. There you go, man. Our brother, our Aussie brother over there, said was about to say we're coping it pretty bad again at the moment with empty shelves. And yeah, that was January 12th today, which they're a day ahead of us. So yeah, there you go, right there. So now, what I want to,
I got one over in Deli, Smoky Randy. He's also a Australian, and he was saying just the other day that he couldn't buy dog food for his dog, so he was going to have to go put a roux in the freezer. I can't say I blame him.
Hey man, do what you got to do, right?
Oh, and by the way, Dem Turn Red, the answer to your question is yes. The host name is Montana, and he's also from Montana.
Okay, I missed that one. I'm glad you caught it. So, okay, so here, because I've been watching this for like 3 days now, watching all the reports, more and more reports. It's growing more and more and more. Like I said, it's from New Orleans, it's up through the Midwest, it's the Northwest. This supply chain problem is what it is. Understand that it is a supply chain problem. Here's the deal: if the baker can't get the flour and and the eggs and the milk that it needs to keep the bakery running, well, the bakery's not going to be able to produce product. And the only reason why that's happening is because the government is fucking with the supply chain.
Yeah.
Okay? Just like the supply chain involves, our meat production. It is a supply chain issue created by our government.
Yeah, I mean,
okay?
I guess I want you guys to here's the easiest way I can describe or get you to understand that. I just told you that cattle hit the ring every 8 to 10 months. They don't feed them cattle when they hit to the freaking stock or when they go to the butcher yard.
Right.
That means there's still the same amount of cattle going into that plant. They just ain't coming back out, or they're not buying. So
right.
They're the ones producing or having this issue. They're the ones creating this problem.
There is also a high cost of energy in transportation. There is the fuck game they've been playing with the truck driver for so long now is finally biting them in the ass. Truck drivers are tired, like I am. I wanted out, tried to get out, but it looks like I'm going to have to go back in. Anyway, that's another story. We can talk about that some other time. But honestly, I know for a fact the wages in 2021, 2022 are lower than they were back in 1988 and 1990. I was making more money then and working less hours than I am now. And this has been created by the freaking government. Over-regulation of the fucking government. And what the hell I'm going through right now, trying to get that extra endorsement on my license, is fucking crazy. So, anyway, here we go. Here's what's going on at my local grocery store. I got a few videos to show you. What? Four or five videos. Oh, let me kill this one over here before I get all confused and play the wrong one again. So let's see. Come on. That should be the right one. Why did it do that? It did it again, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why it did that. Okay, hang on. That's not me. That's my computer jacking with me. All right, here we go. Well, okay, I'm just going to do it this way. Okay, so what we're looking at here, I met with the butcher today. He walked out as I was doing this, and I didn't put him on camera because, he's on the clock and everything, and I wasn't sure if it was okay. So, but anyway, if you look at the beef, we got plenty of beef, and the prices are good right now. $5.89 a pound. That's not bad for ground beef. Still too high as far as I'm concerned, but it's not bad. Look at all these steaks and roasts and briskets and everything. Okay, let me back that up right there. What are we looking at there? We are looking at
Chuck steak.
chuck steak, $7.99 per pound. That's expensive down here in Texas, but still.
That used to be a decent ribeye.
Yeah. So anyway, so the prices and the quantity is still there. We're doing good with it down here. I mean, look at it. But I'm fixing to show you a contrast to that and what's coming down the pike. Okay, come on. Get out of that. Okay, so that was the little meat aisle. Now, this is right behind it, literally. All I did was turn the camera around and walk 3 feet. Here's your toilet paper and stuff. This is what I'm talking about. This is a supply chain fucking problem. Now, we're getting into panic buying, though. The public is panic buying, which is not helping the supply chain at all. It's making it worse. Guys, that was at 9 o'clock this morning. I guarantee you I can go there right now, and that won't even be there now.
I was going to say, that's after the shelves have been stocked.
Right. Okay, now, take a look at this. That cart right there was a man actually trying to stock, and he was basically saying, this is all we got. And if you look at the, cold cuts, bolognas, and all that stuff and everything, it's almost gone. Okay, so we got that, right? Hang on, guys. I can't look at the chats while I'm doing this. I will screw everything up. Let's see. So, kind of strolled around, took a look. Let's see, which one is this? This is eggs. Okay. Your bulk eggs are on the bottom of the store, and then they get more expensive as you go up because then you get into the organics and crap like that nobody wants. That's always the last crap to go. Usually bulk eggs, 2 dozen, 3 dozen at a time. Those are almost gone, but the eggs are still there. But they ain't got no eggs to restock, they told me. It's like, oh, okay. Oh. What is this? Okay, yeah, this is basically the dairy. Plenty of dairy, fruits, and veggies. This is what it should look like everywhere. So not a supply chain problem there. And then bread. Look at all the tortillas and stuff over in the Mexican section. And then the shelves they were starting to restock. Then they said they had plenty of bread. Okay. But there were certain products that we're not being able to get, like this right here. The noodles, canned goods, canned soups, beans and stuff, they had nothing to restock this with. That's all they have is what's on the shelf. So we're starting to see it down here, but we're still doing pretty good right now.
Well, and remember, you were just talking about a steel shortage.
Yeah, and the canned goods. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. And that was coffee and stuff like that. So, all right. So I wanted to give you a look at our local grocery because what I've been seeing around up north, northwest, and even south, like New Orleans and stuff, they're way worse than we are.
Oh, yeah. We're, we have the same problem on toilet paper, which I'm kind of confused on, I guess. I'd much rather make sure I had rice and beans and have to wipe my ass on a T-shirt than worrying about toilet paper. But that's just me. But,
well,
I was looking at some of the speculations coming up on pork because I noticed your pork prices are, $2.99, $3.99 a pound. That's not horrible.
No.
They're talking right now. Box pork is going to be pushing $5 a pound.
Wow.
So that means on the shelf you're looking at $7 a pound for what you paid $1.99 or $2.99 for this year. I mean, that's it's one of the things I was doing on my show, and we're going to do it again because I just bought another pork line. I'll show you guys how to break it down and get it packed up so you got boneless chops and all that kind of fun stuff. Because right now you can buy a pork loin for $1.88 a pound.
I got 6 5-pound boneless pork loins in my freezer, in my deep freezer. I got 2 deep freezers in. I got 6 5-pounders in there, dude. I've been waiting for this.
Yeah, it's pretty damn scary when you sit back and think about how much they can influence the market. And by they, you all know what I mean by they.
Absolutely.
But it's
Christian Patriot Net. The Texan, it isn't good here in East Texas.
No.
Tell me what store you've been to. Is it your local grocer like Kroger, or is it is it Walmart, or is it Brookshire's? Let me know. And Nat Hindy gifted the cookie. Thank you so very much for that. And Awaken Down Under. Oh yeah, you're talking to Timberjet. Okay. Okay, man. Is there anything else you want to say on this subject right here on the food shortages?
Biggest thing I can tell you is become friends with your local producers. If you try hard enough, and I know everybody hates Facebook, but it's if you use it as a tool and not necessarily as what they want you to use it for, you can get away with some of this. But get with your local producers, because I got guys out here that'll sell you cattle at the butcher for $3 a pound. All said and done, you're in at $4.90 a pound. Way cheaper than anywhere else. I got plenty of guys that, have laying hens, producing hogs. Get to know them people, because trust me, they would much rather sell 1 or 2 to you before they take it to the ring, than have to deal with them son of a bitches there. I mean, we don't like the cattle operation, but it is what it is,
That's a good point.
And get yourself stocked up, for Christ's sakes. I've been talking about this and talking about this and talking about this, and I'm not saying to go out there and go nuts buying, but when you walk by and you see a pork loin at $1.99 a pound, pick 2 of the damn things up and throw them in your freezer, just like Texan did.
Sure.
Trust me, you will eat the damn things. Find the stuff that's easy to store for long term that won't affect you, because I'm of the mentality that we've already discussed that these son of a bitches are doing it to us on purpose.
They are.
The easy way to think of it as an army does not march on its empty stomach. When you're hungry, you're a hell of a lot easier to beat.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, I forgot who it was that said that society is only 8 meals away from
completely breaking down.
Yeah, anarchy. Society's only
anarchy.
8 meals away from total anarchy.
Yeah, not good. And if anything, this last year has proved that. We saw plenty of it.
Yes, it has. So, let's see. Hang on. Let me catch up in the chats real quick. Nat Hindy dropped another cookie. Thank you so very much. Christian Patriot Net said, gifted the cookie. Both Brookshire Brothers and Walmart have a lot of empty shelves. Okay. And Nat Hindy gifted another cookie. Join a local grow group. Yep, absolutely. Good point there. Talked about that many times, haven't we, Nat? Mm. And thank you, Nat, for gifting the shade. Start with food growing, and you will meet who you need to. Let's see. Christian Patriot Net, the Texan, but I know a rancher who hooks me up, and I have 2 full freezers. Well, good. There you go. That's thinking outside the box, being smart. Daily Insanity. Good to see you. Gifted the cookie. A great show, guys. Thank you very much. We got a little ways to go. We're going to try to close this subject down. Like I said, this one particular subject, we will revisit later on, because we have barely scratched the surface on it, to be honest with you.
Well, and that being said, since we are changing subject, unfortunately at this point, we're going to have to shut down the other streams, because there's some things that we're going to be talking about that aren't allowed on most of them.